talking real loud, spreading on lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Look at my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading on lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Look at my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading on lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Look at my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart of the struggle, we dare to dream.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so happy Friday, everybody. Let's get ready to get into it. Hold on. Okay, trying to clean up my desk. I got some stuff falling over. Okay, here we go. Right, so let's get into it. All right, G from the land is in the virtual building. Okay, perplex. All right, Dark Tube is here, 504. Okay, let's get into it. Shadowfly, aka that Crazy Beach Aries. Claudette, Red Wine Entertainment, where have you been? DJ Big Six. All right, let's get into it, Claudette. Everybody hit that like button, okay? Like and share. Thank you in advance. Also, don't forget to double check and make sure you're still subscribed, especially if you have not been receiving your notifications. Shout out to all of my loyal royals, everyone tuned into the Queen. I see you, Sheila. All right, and shout out to my moderators because y'all know that we putting in work. All right, I see you, Perplex. We the people. Okay, so let's get into it. And let's have a brief word from my sponsor before we get started. Here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. And you can also purchase it at Walmart.com. Okay, and don't forget that she sells beard oil as well. And if you're looking for some nice Christmas gifts and you know someone that has their natural hair, that would be a lovely place to shop for them. Okay, so with that all being said, let's get into it. Now, first of all, did you all hear about this Chinese immigrant who was found dead in ICE custody? Now, this happened some months ago, back in August. But very interesting that this is coming back up in the news because there's different stories being told and what have you. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Now, here's what they're saying. Breaking. A Chinese immigrant is found dead in ICE custody with his hands and feet bound in a hog-tied position, and they're insisting that it was self-deletion. Okay, please pay attention. Now, there are no words for this horror, they say. It is truly mystifying how any detention facility can let someone have their room, create 3 nooses, and then hang themselves without anyone noticing. Now, this is what David B. Rankin, the attorney for the victim's family, says. And then says what's worse is the lack of mental health care, which could have prevented this tragedy. Okay, now Mr. G's death represents a total failure on the part of the Geo Group and DHS. So they say the 32-year-old Jiao Feng Ji died on August the 5th, just 4 days after he was placed in ICE custody in Pennsylvania. Now, the report from ICE, an agency that has proven itself to be habitually cruel and dishonest under Kristi Noem's fascist leadership, they say, states that agents discovered G with a clove ligature around his neck. So obviously he fashioned it out of something that he had on, I guess is what they're saying. Hold on. Okay. So anyway, they say the autopsy stated that G had been tied with a bed sheet and was hog-tied with the linens around his ankles and wrist. Now, the medical examiner stated that there have been other incidents where individuals supposedly did similar things to themselves. So I don't think that anybody's going to hog-tie themselves. Okay. That doesn't even make any sense. I don't even see how you could do that successfully. And then they're saying this has happened to other people, have been found in the same way. Notably, G was assessed through the use of an interpreter on August the 1st and stated that he had no medical or mental health issues that needed tending to. Just 4 days later, he was found non-responsive in a shower stall and was pronounced deceased 40 minutes later. This sounds suspicious to me. Okay, I don't know what you all think, but it certainly sounds a bit sketchy. Now, I am devastated by the loss of my brother and by the knowledge that he was suffering so greatly in the detention center. Okay, this is what his brother, Yafing Ji, said. He did not deserve to be treated that way. I want justice for my brother, answers as to how this could have happened, and accountability for those responsible for his death. Now, Newsweek reports that at least 15 migrants or immigrants have died so far in ICE facilities during Trump's second term. Now, remember, we're only 11 months in. Okay, so 15 people died already. Until these brutal practices and that number, they say until these brutal practices end, that number will just continue to rise. Sadly, I agree. Now, they say G's family has filed a lawsuit against the Department of Homeland Security demanding answers about their loved one's untimely death. They allege that ICE denied G proper medical health care. Okay, the most benign explanation for this death is that it was done at his own hands. But even with the lack of defensive wounds, one simply cannot rule out the possibility of foul play, given the dehumanizing manner in which Trump's MAGA enforcers view migrants. Okay, even if G did take his own life, it's no less a tragedy. And this young man did not need to be terrorized and imprisoned in inhumane conditions because of this administration's policies. An innocent man is now dead. Okay, so anyway, this is all sad. Here's the man right here. Let me just show his picture. But I'm going to tell you what they're saying because they have their version of the story too. That's him right there holding the pumpkin. Okay, very sad. That's just deplorable that that would happen to anyone. Okay, and then to be hogtied, for someone to pass away from being in that position, because my question is, okay, they say he was hung, but hung from what? And then how did he get hogtied? I just have so many questions, and you could actually die from being hogtied for a certain amount of time, like asphyxial or positional asphyxia. So anyway, at least I would think. Like some everyone, please like and share. So as I told you all, they have, their own version. And here's what they're reporting. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, this is straight from ICE, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. This was reported the day after the man died, which was August the 5th. This was posted on the 6th. Okay, Xiaofeng Ji, a 32-year-old citizen of China in ICE custody, was pronounced deceased by the Clearfield County coroner at approximately 6:03 a.m. on August 5th. The cause of death is under investigation. Ji was detained at the Moshannon Valley Processing Center in Phillipsburg. He had been in ICE custody for 5 days and was awaiting a hearing before the Department of Justice's Executive Office for Immigration Review. MVPC staff discovered G hanging by the neck and unresponsive in the shower room of his detention pod at 5:21 a.m. They immediately lowered him to the ground, began CPR, and contacted Phillipsburg Emergency Medical Services, the Pennsylvania State Police, and the coroner's office. On January the 23rd, the Lower Paxton Township Police Department arrested G for criminal use of a communication facility, unlawful use of a computer, and access device fraud. On January the 24th, ICE Philadelphia's Enforcement and Removal Operations York Sub-Office lodged an immigration detainer with the Dauphin County Prison. G pleaded guilty to accessing a device issued to another who did not authorize use and conspiracy to commit the same on July 31st. He was sentenced to 6 to 12 months for each count and granted immediate release to the ICE detainer. ERO York took G into ICE custody and transported him to the York ICE office for processing. He was subsequently transferred to MVPC. Now, consistent with ICE policy, ERO notified the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the Office of Inspector General, and the ICE Office of Professional Responsibility via the Integrity Coordination Center. ERO provided notification of the death to the Chinese embassy. Now, ICE makes official notifications to Congress, non-governmental organizations, stakeholders, and the media upon an official report of a detained illegal alien's death and post a news release with relevant details on the ICE public website within 2 business days per agency policy. Now, this information may be accessed in the ICE Gov newsroom. Additionally, congressional requirements described in the DHS Appropriations Bill of 2018 require ICE to make public all reports regarding an in-custody death within 90 days. Okay, so is that why we're just now hearing about it? These reports may be accessed on the detainee death reporting page. Now, ICE remains committed to ensuring that all of those in its custody reside in safe, secure, and humane environments. Comprehensive medical care is provided from the moment individuals arrive and throughout the entirety of their stay. All people in ICE custody receive medical, dental, and mental health intake screening within 12 hours of arriving at each detention facility. A full health assessment within 14 days of entering ICE custody or arrival at a facility, access to medical appointments, and 24-hour emergency care. At no time during detention is a detained illegal alien denied emergent care. Okay, well, clearly something's going wrong, or there's a lapse somewhere if this man was found, deceased like that, and they're saying he did it to himself. What happened with the mental health care? Did they just ask him if he had any mental health issues and he said no, and that was the end of it? Because that's pretty much what it sounds like. Okay, how do you do a proper evaluation, or do they? I just have questions. And did this man actually do this himself? What do you all think? I mean, I just don't put anything past Trump or anyone in his administration at this point. Too many lies have been told. Okay, too many things have just gone awry as far as I'm concerned. Now, here's the thing I will say, though. Hakeem Jeffries has come out and announced that the Democrats are basically, trying to give Americans some relief for their health care. So they have a discharge petition. They have a discharge petition, just like they did for the Epstein file vote. Okay, they now have one for the Affordable Care Act, which is going to end at the end of December. And remember, everything was supposed to be, doubling or even tripling, okay, because there's, the Republicans didn't want to do anything. They didn't want to make any promises, didn't want to make any agreements. The only thing they said that they would agree to is that it'll come up for discussion. Okay, what good's that going to do if it's the same old discussion they've continuously had? Okay, which likely it will be. So let's get into it. Lights up, everyone, please like and share.
I think it's going to be breaking news for a lot of Americans that under your leadership, Democrats plan on introducing an ACA subsidy discharge petition, which would basically allow the vote on the House to extend the subsidies. Can you tell us about that?
Well, that's absolutely correct. We have introduced a discharge petition that would extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for 3 years. And we're already approaching 200 signatures. And of course, we need 218 in order to force the bill to the House floor for an up or down vote, as we just did with the release of the Epstein files. And so we're going to continue to stay in this fight to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. We are not going to let Republicans get away with the fact that they did everything they could to pass massive tax breaks for their billionaire donors as part of the one big ugly bill back in July, rushed back into town to do it, while at the same period of time enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history in that toxic bill, and ripped food away from the mouths of hungry children, seniors, and veterans at the same time, but can't find a dime to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. That is crazy, when tens of millions of Americans are about to experience dramatically increased health insurance costs. We're in open enrollment right now, and so the clock is ticking. The tax credits expire on December 31st. A handful of Republicans during the shutdown were running their mouth that they wanted to do something about it. Now we're going to give them the opportunity. Sign our discharge petition.
Okay, we'll see what they're going to do. We'll see what they're going to do, because we know how these politicians be lying so hard, and specifically the right. Okay, the GOP sits up there and lies and then tries to flip the script and act like everything's the Democrats' fault. Now, well, they say that your president, Donald J. Trump, and Mike Johnson are very, very upset. In fact, they're furious because they got played by John Thune. Okay? He played him like a Thune, you all. He played him like a Thune. And that's why MAGA Mike was talking about how disappointed he was. Because you see, he was in fact expecting that the Senate was going to save them. Remember how I told you all that even after the vote, the bill could die in the Senate or Trump could still veto it. Of course, Congress would have to approve the veto. But nonetheless, I told you all that MAGA Mike was skinning and grinning so hard, he was ecstatic. He was so happy and thrilled because he thought he'd gotten over. He thought everything was going to go their way. He had a plan. And he got played, okay? Now, let's hear him talk about his disappointment real quick.
Adding amendments or changing it?
I'm deeply disappointed in this outcome. I think I've been at the state dinner. I don't know. I was just told that Chuck Schumer rushed it to the floor and put it out there preemptively. It needed amendments. I just spoke to the president about that. We'll see what happens.
So do you think he may veto it? You say you spoke to the president?
I'm not saying that.
Is he supportive of it in its current form?
We both have concerns about it, so we'll see.
He said we both have concerns. Okay, and then he said Schumer put it out there, rushed it out there without making any amendments. It needed amendments. Yes, they wanted there to be things in there that would help them, continue the facade. Now, he spoke with John Thune, according to him, and John Thune clearly just told him whatever he wanted to hear and didn't do what he said. And that's why he's really disappointed. We'll get into that in just a second. But let's go to this next clip. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. I absolutely love it. Don't y'all?
What I read was he was defining the crime of sedition. Okay, I don't. That is a factual statement, but obviously attorneys have to parse the language and determine all that. What I will say unequivocally, that was a wildly inappropriate thing for so-called leaders in Congress to do, to encourage young troops to disobey orders. I mean, think of what the threat that is to our national security and what it means to our institutions. We have got to raise the bar in Congress. This is out of control and is wildly inappropriate. And for a senator like Mark Kelly or any member of Congress in the House or Senate to be engaged in that kind of talk is to me just so beyond the pale.
He said it was so beyond the pale. Is it though? Is it though? Like I said, he and Trump are just very disappointed. Because Mike Thune, he talked to him. Hold on, let's go to this clip right here. And then we'll get into it. This is Tapper from CNN.
This morning seemed to be calling for the death of some of his political opponents, their execution. At 10:21 this morning, he wrote, quote, "Seditious behavior punishable by death." He's talking about a handful of House and Senate Democrats with background in the military and the intelligence community and the national security community who put out a video saying that any members of the military or intelligence communities who are handed down illegal orders from their superiors should not carry out illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
True. You shouldn't carry out illegal orders. You shouldn't carry out anything illegal. You shouldn't break the law. President Trump is now accusing these people of sedition. President Trump has been really pushing this on social media in ways that are rather inflammatory. Hang them. George Washington would. That's right. The president actually reposted a tweet that said, hang them. This comes, by the way, in the midst of a week where President Trump is displaying all sorts of rather unusual behavior. Obviously, he's not happy about the release of the Epstein files. When a woman reporter asked him about that, he said, quiet, piggy. When another woman reporter, one I used to work with, who's a great reporter, Mary Bruce, asked questions about both the Epstein files and also about Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, who was in the Oval Office, and the fact that our own intelligence community says that MBS ordered the murder of a Washington Post journalist named Jamal Khashoggi. President Trump got mad at the reporter for asking about it because he said it would be impolite to MBS. And then he started criticizing the victim of the murder, Khashoggi. He's also, of course, calling for late night comedians who he doesn't like to be fired. It is all a wild melange of strange behavior. And we should not become numb to this. This is not normal behavior from a president. And in fact, when you start calling people traitors and when you start saying that people should be hanged in this climate where there is all this violence against political figures, including against President Trump, that's wildly irresponsible.
It absolutely is. But as per usual, they just let Trump say and do whatever. Okay, so now as I was saying, Trump and MAGA Mike are very upset about this whole thing with the Epstein vote because they thought they were going to be saved. Mike Johnson publicly said that he was deeply disappointed that the Senate passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act without any amendments. Okay, now the House overwhelmingly passed the bill, as we know. The Senate then passed the bill. Now, Johnson said he believed the bill had serious flaws and that amendments should have been made before Senate passage. Although he voted in favor of the bill in the House, he expressed frustration that the process in the Senate proceeded without his desired changes. Now, John Thune told reporters that after the overwhelmingly bipartisan vote on the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which passed the United States House of Representatives 427 to 1, and then by unanimous consent in the United States Senate, it was probably not likely that the bill would be amended further. Okay, because Trump is set to sign it, according to reports. They're saying that Trump has agreed and he's expected to go ahead and sign it. So from there, what happens is after Trump signs it, darn it, after Trump signs it, he's going to have like, if I'm not mistaken, he's going to have like 10 days, 10 legislative days for the bill to become law. And if he doesn't sign it, then it automatically becomes law as long as Congress is still in session. Okay, so with that all being said, but don't be surprised if Trump pulls some type of slick move towards the end. So in response to Mike Johnson's plea for changes to protect victims and other concerns, which we know he didn't care anything about victims, listen, if Mike Johnson really cared about victims, he would not have been putting up all these obstacles and just doing all of these things to try to detract or to try to deflect from the conversation about the Epstein files and also trying to stall. Okay? That's what he's been trying to do. But now he wants to act like we're supposed to give him a pat on the back, you know, acting like he was the one that was so transparent, like this is what he was going to do all along. Like all along, he wanted to release it. Okay, when they asked him if he flipped or did a reversal, he was like, no, basically acting like they always wanted to put the files out there, but they just wanted to make sure that people would be protected. He didn't care anything about those victims. He did. He'd have been willing to put everything out there in the first place. Why did they even have to go through this foolish vote when Trump could have just ordered for it to be put out there himself months ago? Because they didn't want the truth to come out. They still don't. And let's not forget that Mark Epstein, Epstein's brother, said the files are being scrubbed. Okay, so if they do come out, just remember that. Okay, because I absolutely believe it. Now, so anyway, with that all being said, Thune essentially indicated that because of the resounding House support and the president's backing, the Senate would move forward without making the amendments that Johnson had hoped for. Okay? That's what Thune says. But Thune knew what he was doing. He literally assured him. Okay, he supposedly assured him that in fact, you know, he was going to do what he needed him to do. And it just didn't happen for him. Bless his little heart. Bless his little heart. Hold on. Hold on. Let me pull up my receipt. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Okay, here we go. Now, I'm going to let you all hear this.
Wrong thing did as the Epstein Files drama played out this week, first in the House of Representatives and then in the Senate. When the weakest speaker of the House in history, Mike Johnson announced that he was suddenly switching his position right before the vote and had decided to vote for the bill. Mike Johnson said that he had a phone conversation with Senate Republican leader John Thune, and John Thune promised Mike Johnson personally that John Thune and the Republicans in the Senate would add amendments to that bill and fix that bill the way Mike Johnson wanted it to be fixed. The Senate would change the bill in a way that was acceptable to Mike Johnson. And the hundreds of House Republicans who opposed the Epstein Files bill until they suddenly flipped and supported it. Last night, we showed you the video of a childishly petulant Mike Johnson running through the halls of the House of Representatives saying that he was disappointed in the Republican Senate and John Thune. Although he didn't dare say John Thune's name because the Republicans in the Senate did not amend the bill. That was his disappointment. They did not amend the bill. Mike Johnson said he was disappointed that Chuck Schumer was allowed to sneak the bill past John Thune somehow to get unanimous consent.
Now, he said Chuck Schumer snuck the bill past John Thune. You know why he said he snuck the bill past John Thune? Because he had already said that he talked to John Thune on the phone, right? And what John Thune told him, he didn't want to look like he got played, like a whole fool that he is. That's my opinion.
Well, when what? John Thune just wasn't looking? That was a pathetic lie by a pathetic speaker. And I exposed that lie to you here on this program last night. Chuck Schumer announced 2.5 hours before he went to the Senate floor to ask for unanimous consent that he was going to go to the Senate floor and ask for unanimous consent here. But that is what John Thune did as the Epstein Files drama.
All right, busted. It's all so sad. It's all so sad. Don't y'all feel bad for him? He tried it. Bless his heart. He did the best he could do under the circumstances, no less. Woo, honey, I am so done. But anywho, with that all being said, Mr. Kelly came out, and I'm talking about Senator Mark Kelly, came out and responded to Trump daring to threaten them and calling for political violence by saying that they need to be executed, perhaps, or allegedly, okay, or calls for the death penalty for seditious behavior, which is so interesting because, like I told you all, that's absolutely what his people did when they rioted at the Capitol. But let's see what they have to say about it, because you know what? I just love it when Trump gets bad news. I love it, love it, love it when him and MAGA Mike are just on the fringe of despair. Okay, they are both so butthurt, bent out of shape. He literally looked like he wanted to cry. I'm just so disappointed. Then tried to blame it on Schumer, say that Schumer had to have snuck. So to think about it, he sounded so ridiculous. He's clearly grasping at straws. He said Chuck Schumer tried to sneak it. He had to have snuck it past John Thune. Honey, John Thune probably handed it to Schumer. Okay, what are you talking about? Snuck it past him. Honey, he played you like a Thune. That's what that was. The irony of it all. And it's really so refreshing, to get this news from him and to see that he's so butthurt and bent out of shape about it. See, I knew they got played, but I told y'all that. But I didn't realize he was so upset and bothered by it. You're still sad days later, still crying and groveling and complaining days later. I find that also interesting. But what's even funnier about it for me is the fact that I played you all that video where he was cheesing. Y'all remember how he was cheesing so hard? Did I delete that video? Think I did. But y'all remember how he was just cheesing so hard? And I told y'all, look at the glee in his face. He's literally gloating. He couldn't stop it. He couldn't contain himself. He was thrilled. He was thrilled because he thought that they had gotten over. And they didn't. And now, if we're all lucky, and I just hope that we are, some of these people are going to prison after it's all said and done. Okay? After it's all said and done, some of them are going to the big house on the hill. Anyway, with that all been said, let's see what Senator Mark Kelly has to say about Trump. We're going to talk about Trump's health in a moment, too. It's not looking good, fellas.
As the president called for the arrest of several Democratic lawmakers, calling for them to be put on trial for behavior that could be punishable by death. Those lawmakers had posted a video earlier in the week telling military and intelligence officers to refuse illegal orders.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals
Against American citizens.
like us. You all swore an oath
To protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
The 6 Democrats featured in that video, all of whom served in the military or intelligence community, are pushing back on President Trump's attacks, writing in a joint statement in part, quote, "What's most telling is that the president considers it punishable by death for us to restate the law. Our service members should know that we have their backs as they fulfill their oath to the Constitution and obligation to follow only lawful orders. In these moments, fear is contagious, but so is courage. We will continue to lead and will not be intimidated." And joining us now, one of those lawmakers, Democratic Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona. He served as a captain in the U.S. Navy. And Senator, we'll get to the president's response in just a moment. But first, can you tell us why you all decided to make that video?
You know, another thing, too, I have to agree with Obama. This is the man Obama wanted to be president, and I think this man should have also been able to run. They should not have just chosen somebody like they put Kamala in there. This man could have beat Trump. Okay, I'm pretty sure this man or Gavin Newsom could have beat Trump. But now, look where we are. Now, I do blame Biden for that. Okay, I do blame them for that, Biden's administration, for putting Kamala up there. And now here's what we get. Because no woman is going to beat a man, specifically a low-down dirty one like Trump. Okay, y'all ever think about how Trump only has beat women when he ran for president? Hillary and Kamala. What does that tell you?
Well, hey, good morning, and thank you for having me on. I mean, this administration is like no other. This president has sent U.S. troops into U.S. cities. He's threatened the Insurrection Act to send troops to other cities. He's talked about using U.S. cities as training grounds for the military. And you don't have to go too far back when he asked his Secretary of Defense if they could shoot protesters in the legs. That is an example of what an illegal order could be, and we're concerned that members of the military are stuck in a spot here, and they really don't understand what to do. You get briefed on this stuff pretty early in your career if you're at OCS or ROTC or maybe in boot camp. It was just a friendly reminder that we are a country of laws. And by the way, I don't think there's anything more American or patriotic than standing with the Constitution. We're a country of laws. If anybody in the chain of command, anybody asks you to do something that's illegal, not only should you not do it, you're actually required not to do it. You have to follow legal orders. You are not to follow illegal orders. It was pretty basic. And the president's first instinct is to politicize this, to threaten political violence on members of the United States Congress. On the heels, I mean, it's just 2 months ago that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and he talked about political violence, and now his instinct is to call for execution.
Yeah, and Senator, there the generals, admirals, other people who have led men and women into battle will all say the same thing, that the last thing you want, or to have troops think that they can obey illegal orders. We had General Hurtling on earlier this morning saying what Donald Trump is telling, getting so angry about is what our soldiers are trained every day. And this from Fox News is Andy McCarthy, who is a legal correspondent there. He says disobeying an unlawful order is not sedition. It is required.
This isn't really holiday shopping. I mean, discovering high-quality gifts,
Explain.
Well, it's in the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It clearly outlines that you have to follow legal orders. That's a requirement. Somebody gives you an illegal or unlawful order, you're not to follow it. Hey, I think the president's statement also is evidence of why we needed to say this. I mean, he immediately goes to something that is clearly not within the realm of our legal systems, talking about sedition because we said something and now we should be executed. You know, my family has, suffered from political violence. My wife, Gabby Giffords, was nearly assassinated, shot in the head at a political event. We have rising political violence in this country. Even the president, two assassination attempts. He should understand that his weight, that his words have significant weight with the American people, and people react to things that he says. So this kind of language is dangerous and it's wrong.
And Senator, good morning. Certainly there's a thought that the president's trying to distract from another very bad headlines that he is facing lately, including the coming release of the Epstein files. But what you just said is so important. The President of the United States, his words do carry weight. We have seen them inspire violence before. Let's not forget the January 6th insurrection based on his false claims of January 6th insurrection based on his false claims of a stolen election. So let's just put it simply to you. Are you concerned about your safety now? The other Democratic lawmakers who appeared in that video with you, are you acquiring additional security and the like because of what he said yesterday?
Well, I'm not going to get into my specific security arrangements, but it would be irresponsible for me not to consider that his words results in increased threats to myself, even to my staff, to my family. So it would be a rather irresponsible thing for us not to consider this seriously.
Senator Kelly, it's Walter Isaacson. This is part of a bigger picture, which is, President Trump has cleaned out part of the military. They've been firing so many people there. FBI, other law enforcement agencies, even the Justice Department politicized. And now he's saying, and you're required to follow illegal orders if I tell you to do so. Are you worried that this is part of a larger plan?
Well, I think you might be onto something here, Walt. He is trying to purge the military of anybody he thinks may not agree with him. I think there's some evidence of that, or he's fired people because of seemingly because they're women or their color of their skin. But here's the thing: he can't fire us. We cannot be fired, not by the president, just by our constituents in an election. So instead, he's going to try to intimidate us because he disagrees or he didn't like what we said. What I think the president should have done is he should have watched the video. He should have listened to the video and listened to the message. And what I think any other president would have done is they would have retweeted that video and said 2 words, of course, and maybe follow it up with, of course, members of the military should not follow illegal or unlawful orders. That's what we should expect from a commander-in-chief, but not this guy.
What do you expect from your fellow Republican colleagues? I know, again, it was the good old days, I suppose. Didn't seem like the good old days at the time, but if somebody on my committee, on the Armed Services Committee, had been attacked like this from a commander-in-chief, everybody on the committee would have stood shoulder to shoulder and condemned whoever that president was in the toughest terms. What do you expect from your Republican colleagues?
Well, I mean, we're now over 24 hours into this. I think if they were going to say something, they would have said something already. I mean, a couple folks did. Rand Paul, as an example, said something, rather supportive of us. John Thune at least said he didn't agree with the president, on this about executing U.S. senators. They all should come out and forcefully condemn this. Members of Congress in elected office, folks at DOD should condemn these words from this president calling for us to be hanged because of something we said that he didn't like, telling members of the military that they are not required to follow illegal orders. I mean, think about that for a second. And then he has his sycophants around him, misrepresenting what we actually said. That's always been part of his strategy as well.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not just that they're not required to, because you're saying you're not required to follow illegal orders.
Right.
Actually, you are duty bound by your oath not to follow illegal orders, and that's the thing, Mika. They would be violating their oath
correct.
if they followed illegal orders.
And I guess, Senator, members of the military, what is your advice to them if they come across something that seems confusing?
I think they need to talk to their leadership, talk to their commanding officer about it and tell your commanding officer why you think this may be illegal. There are lawyers within the military, the Judge Advocate General Corps. You can have a conversation, with somebody who understands the law. There's always the option of you review the UCMJ with your leadership and you explain to somebody why you think this may not be lawful.
All right, retired U.S. Navy captain.
You have to be willing to stand on aisle 10, honey, okay? Some people would be afraid to go against orders that they were given, whether they were right or wrong. But you have to be willing to stand for it. And here's the thing. I would not be risking my livelihood, my entire career, my education to do anything illegal. I wouldn't care who told me to do it. President Trump, whoever. Okay, just like Lindsey Halligan and Pam Bondi. Okay, because they're going to still need jobs after Trump's administration is done for. All right, but licenses, they sure won't have those. And here's another thing too. Now, we all know that every time Trump gets into some sort of situation, specifically with Epstein stuff, there's always somebody else that he hones in on. There's always another feud that he needs to start or some BS. Okay, it's always something that's going on. So after high-profile missteps, Trump seizes on a new feud and a new potential adversary. So let's get into it. Because isn't this what he does best? So Trump is embroiled in a bitter new feud with the Democrats over national security, provocative rhetoric, and presidential power that he deliberately turned nuclear. And at a White House meeting on Friday, he'll go head-to-head with the next mayor of New York, Zohran Mamdani, a Democratic socialist he's planning to brand as the unacceptable communist. Okay, that's what he's trying to brand this man as, the communist face of the Democratic Party. All right, this is what he wants to do for next year. Trump's political touch deserted him, okay, in recent days. He's heard speculation about whether his decades-long grip on the GOP base is slipping, because I think it is. This might be the fall of MAGA. Okay, his missteps amplified the big question over Epstein. Why is he so desperate to stop the evidence from coming out? And his attempt to empathize with voters over the cost of living became a farce when he accused Democrats of stealing the world's affordability. So you just knew. Hold on, beloveds, pop-ups. You just knew the president, who has gotten more, unhinged, so to speak, by the day, would look for an opening. Now, and he has found one. Okay, he found it, taking the chance to ignite the kind of political storm that obliterates everything in its path, drags his outraged foes onto his preferred political ground, rallies conservative media, and solidifies his base. Trump tried to seize back the initiative in the inflammatory way that only he can. Now, in a post of Truth social media post and repost that culminated in a warning that a group of Democratic lawmakers were guilty of seditious behavior, which is punishable by death. His fury was provoked by a video from lawmakers who, unlike the commander-in-chief, were veterans of the military or intelligence services, reminding members of the armed services that they do not have to obey any illegal orders. I mean, Trump's someone who lied to dodge the draft by saying he had bone spurs, wants to try to sit there and get upset because former military personnel are telling the current that they don't have to follow unlawful orders. Okay? Never in a million years, they say, by any objective measure, Trump's response was inflammatory and disproportionate in the country's current climate of political violence. After all, this was a president of the United States ostensibly calling for the prosecution and possible execution of members of Congress. Now, that's not just an affront to decency and presidential decorum. We all know Trump has no decorum, at least not moral decorum anyway. Okay, the only decorum that Trump has is all that gold, all those gold accents that he's filled the White House with, looking so tacky and clearly ghetto. Now, it's an assault on the foundations of constitutional Republican government and the separation of powers. And it's dangerous. Republicans accuse Democrats of inciting violence after 2 assassination attempts against Trump and the killing of conservative icon Charlie Kirk. Here's the thing. When they had these assassination attempts on Trump, that some people don't even believe were actually real, but also the assassination of Charlie Kirk. When all of these incidents happened, the 2 on Trump and then the one with Charlie Kirk, or the 2 attempts on Trump, they sat up there, the Republicans that is, and tried to equate all of that, tried to blame all of that on the Democrats, saying that the rhetoric that they were speaking, calling people extremists and things like this. First of all, the Democrats didn't say anything that wasn't true about the right, in my opinion. And second of all, how do they not feel or have the sense enough to know? And I'm sure they do. This is all them gaslighting and deflecting, clearly. But of course, this has nothing to do with anything that the Democrats said about them, in my opinion. It's because of who they are and the rhetoric that they spew, the things that literally come out of their mouths, the actions that they take. Okay, their constant need to belittle people, talk down on different sorts of people, and all of that. All right, and to show preferential treatment only for those who look and think like them. Okay, that's probably why they had these attempts, and also what happened to Charlie Kirk, because of their own rhetoric. Not that anything that someone said about them. Okay, make it all make sense. I mean, a lie doesn't care who tell it, clearly. Okay. And when you think about it, can't you just tell the Republican Party has to be so racist? I mean, just listen to them, what they call themselves, GOP, the Grand Old Party. Doesn't that sound so racist? There's no difference in that than calling it the Good Old Boys Club. Okay? Both equally racist and full of wanton supremacists. But let me continue. Now, with that all being said, they go on to say it's dangerous. Republicans accuse Democrats of inciting violence after 2 assassination attempts on Trump and the killing of conservative icon Charlie Kirk. Now, it's hard to see how this is any different. The president's comments also contrasted with the conciliatory tone of one of his erstwhile political friends, MAGA icon Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia, who apologized Sunday on CNN for her role in toxic politics. Yeah, don't apologize now, girl. You're still toxic. One of the Democrats who appears in the video expressed her shock. She said, I never in a million years thought I'd be talking to you tonight about the fact that the President of the United States has called for my death by hanging for sedition and treason, and called for it because I and a number of other people published a video that says you have to follow the law. This is what Democratic Representative Chrissy Houlihan, an Air Force veteran, told CNN's Aaron Burnett. Who would have thought, clearly? Trump, however, loves these kinds of fights. Now, by any normal political standards, they'd be potential career enders for a top political figure. But Trump uses them, as he did Thursday, to get Democrats to make arguments in defense of institutions, the Constitution, civility, and traditional presidential behavior. Their points are often well made, but they can often seem esoteric and off topic to voters far from Washington who are more concerned with economic security or the cost of health care. In recent elections, Democratic warnings about Trump fracturing norms and legal constraints and threatening the soul of the nation haven't always worked. Plus, the controversies whip up Trump's conservative media, their cheerleaders and activists, and sets up a loyalty test for Republicans wary of breaking with him. Yeah, this is absolutely true. Mike Johnson, MAGA Mike, is a prime example. Okay, Lindsey Halligan, Pam Bondi. These people don't want to do anything to tick Trump off. They do everything in their power that they can to prove their loyalty to him. And even when they do that and go above and beyond, if something should fumble or not go as planned or expected, Trump will throw them right under the bus. I mean, look how he did MAGA Mike. Okay. And then when he just, said that he wanted to reverse his decision and told them to go ahead and release the files after Mike's told all those lies, try to protect him. But Trump doesn't want to look like he's the loser and come out on the bad end of the stick, the short end of the stick. Okay. And then look how he went in on Bondi on Truth Social. Made it public for everyone to see when things weren't going the way he wanted them to go with the James Comey and Letitia James cases, with the indictments that he was trying to get. So anyway, the country has seen it all before, multiple times. In Trump's racist birther campaign against President Barack Obama, in his mockery of late Senator John McCain's war record. Do y'all remember that? How he talked about that man? That man was a whole war hero, and Trump was nothing but a lying dog who skipped and evaded the draft by just saying he had bone spurs because he was a coward. But he want to talk about somebody who was actually a prisoner of war, okay, and who was injured. Anyway, in his false claims that he won the 2020 election, okay, he said these things, and it's a technique that has often worked for Trump. He might alienate half of the country, but it's one of the keys to his staunch support from his GOP base and his capacity to always portray himself as an anti-establishment scourge and outsider. Now, one question now, however, amid some of his worst ever approval ratings and struggles with the economy, is whether Trump's antics may begin to disgust even some voters who have always stood by him. Well, I certainly hope so. So Thursday's bombshell was typical of the distraction tactics that Trump has always used, and that some of his critics have sometimes accused the news media of repeatedly falling for. Okay, yet Trump's distraction gambits are often so unhinged or threatening to basic American values that it's inevitable that they create huge shock and fierce debate. They require pushback from his opponents, even if it dilutes their message. As usual, Trump's detonation of a new controversy forced Republicans on Capitol Hill to dance on the head of a political pin, okay, with some deploying the classic excuse that they hadn't read the Post. House Speaker Mike Johnson gingerly tried to separate himself from the president's comments, saying the words are not the ones that I would use. Those words are not the ones that I would use. Okay, and then he told CNN's Manu Raju that obviously I don't think that these are crimes punishable by death or any of that. Now, another close Trump ally, Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, said the president's comments were over the top. And Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, who has questioned the legality of administration attacks on alleged rug trafficking boats in the Caribbean and Pacific, said he didn't think it was a good idea to talk about jailing your political opponents or hanging them or whatever else. Now, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was asked whether the president really wanted the execution of members of Congress. She replied, no. But true to Trump's lifetime mantra, she counterattacked, sketching an argument that other Republicans adopted that the video was an attempt to get members of armed forces to disobey the commander-in-chief. Yeah, when he's telling them to do something unlawful or illegal, which is the same thing, basically, but this is a misrepresentation, but it created sufficient political heat to blur reality while making the president's out of bounds outbursts seem just like one side of a political back and forth. Johnson, for instance, said that what the legislators did was unprecedented in American history and it should be called out. And that's what the president has expressed. Here's the thing. How is the president going to express anything as it pertains to something being unprecedented in American history and say that it needs to be called out? When almost every move that he's made that since he's been in the White House this term has been unprecedented in American history, and he should be called out. Okay? I want y'all to pay attention. And then remember, when I told you all, I've been telling you all for weeks and Sundays, how come Congress has not been doing anything about Trump? How come they're just complaining but not putting forth any action? I kept telling you all that. And then when we start talking about, the 10 steps to becoming an autocrat, what did Stacey Abrams say? What did she say about that? And so now we see exactly what Trump is up to. Okay, we see exactly what his motives are. All right. This is a misrepresentation, but it created sufficient political heat to blur reality while making the president's out of bounds outbursts seem just like one side of a political back and forth. Johnson, for instance, said that what the legislators did was unprecedented in American history and should be called out. But he don't want to call out Trump. Some might question why the Democrats choose to make their videos, okay, and to give the president an opportunity to change the subject after he spent days flailing over the Epstein matter and the cost of living. And any political move involving the military risk created a drama that leaves service members in the middle of a partisan firestorm. Well, Trump should not be putting them in these type of predicaments because that's who's doing it. Okay, it's not the Democrats for making a darn video. So a counter argument would be that there is deep concern among many lawmakers, one that is especially acute for combat veterans, that Trump will ask service members to undertake unlawful attacks and missions. This is not hypothetical. Now, as CNN's Aaron Blake reported, there have been many occasions when Trump's foreign policy or military ventures have raised questions of legality. Yeah, and specifically him having those people blown up on those boats, having those boats struck and all those people dying, and he's not proven anything that they did was illegal. He doesn't have any receipts. Judges have often ruled that administration policies infringe the law. Trump has sent troops into American cities on questionable grounds. His actions near Venezuela have many on Capitol Hill fearing an illegal war, and his threats of retribution need to be taken seriously since he's turned the Justice Department into his engine of personal retribution. And after all, the Democrats in the video were only restating a principle that every service member understands, even if the question of deciding whether an order is illegal or not can be fraught and imprecise during the fog of war. So anyway, that all being said, they told those people, right, Trump can be mad all he wants. Now he's coming up with another feud. They didn't tell any lies about that. This is just what he does. Okay? This is just what Trump does. Mel said Trump is admiring all the evil demons. Yeah, and he's the biggest one. He's the biggest one, beloved. Okay? We have to ignore him and not allow him to distract. Exactly. But at the same time, we have to watch him, beloved. Now, with that all being said, and watching him is what I've been doing. Now, have you all noticed anything funny about Trump? Okay, Trump has, instances where he misspeaks, mispronounces words, seems to have forgotten his train of thought, just different things. And some speculate that he may be having some sort of dementia. So let's go to this video where they explain the common causes, or not causes, but the common symptoms of dementia.
When I wanted to refute it, they said, "Sir, don't dignify it with a rebuttal."
Have you been noticing peculiar behavior recently in someone you know?
Carried out by
someone who mixes fiction and reality?
the late great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man.
Perhaps someone of advanced age you have known for years.
Did you just see Maduro, Venezuela? It's unbelievable, Venezuela.
Of course, we all have our goofs. But consistently odd behavior can be a sign of frontotemporal dementia, a degenerative disease of the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain that dramatically impairs cognitive function. And there are some key signs to look out for, like slurring words.
The failing New York Times by anonymous.
Struggling to find the correct words is another sign.
The Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges of the investigation.
You may also notice someone veering into incoherent ideas, detached from reality.
You know what I'd do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the shark.
Or an inability to complete simple sentences.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat.
Other notable symptoms include impaired motor function, such as a wavering limb, and decreased balance, often accompanied by a signature lean or arched stance. If someone you know is demonstrating several or all of these symptoms, they are seriously unwell. As a matter of safety, they must be relieved of critical responsibilities and disqualified from any position of authority. Remember, frontotemporal dementia is a degenerative disease. Cognitive function will never return and will only deteriorate further. Don't ignore the signs.
All right. Don't ignore the signs, beloveds. All right. And clearly, Trump is exhibiting some of the signs, in my opinion. Okay. And then he said from one dementia patient to another. Oh my goodness, you all are something else. I feel bad for laughing. My dearly departed dad had dementia, but he wasn't an idiot. Well, you know, beloved, I don't think dementia makes people idiots. Trump was already one, sadly for him. He was already one, beloved. Okay, he was already one. Condolences for the loss of your father. Now, with that all being said, before we're out of here, listen. Hold on. I want to go over this video real quick. I want to go over this video with Jonathan Hay, the guy that used to be Rihanna's former bodyguard, not bodyguard, what am I talking about? Used to be Rihanna's publicist. And he's got this lawsuit against Diddy. Honey, he has made it all the way to the news. We're going to talk about it because I just think this man is lying, because y'all know this man said right here on my show and admitted to me and you that he lied about Jay-Z and Rihanna because he was upset because Jay-Z didn't do what he wanted him to do as far as pushing Rihanna's album at the time. So I don't believe anything he says. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, let's go over these 10 steps of autocracy and authoritarianism that Stacey Abrams already talked about. And let's just go over them one more time, because here's the thing. How many of these has Trump already done? Okay, please pay attention. Number one, win the last fair election. Now, Trump keeps on saying, or he doesn't keep saying it, but he has said at least 2 or 3 times that you won't have to vote again. Remember when he announced it prior to the election, he told the Christians, you'll never have to vote again. Okay, and then Bannon comes out and says that they had something they were scheming on so that there wouldn't be another election. Okay. Autocrats often come to power through democratic means, then ensure it's the last truly free election. Okay, then expand executive power. Okay, push executive authority beyond legal boundaries, testing what the system will tolerate. All right, and this is nothing new. Just so you all know, this is nothing new. This has been used for centuries. Mussolini used the same tactic. Okay. Mussolini used the same exact method. Capture the other branches, co-opt Congress, and neutralize the judiciary, eliminating checks and balances. And see, here's the thing. Like I told y'all, when Stacey Abrams was telling us these steps, that's when I realized. I kept telling you all that Congress wasn't doing anything. They just keep complaining. Nobody's making any moves. Why haven't they impeached him? Why haven't they filed Article 2 like they said they were going to do, and all of that? Well, because one of the steps is they basically make Congress feel like Congress starts to think or act as though they don't have a job. Okay, they co-opt Congress and neutralize the judiciary, eliminating checks and balances. Gut the civil services, fire competent, nonpartisan civil servants who might resist illegal orders. That's why they're so mad, okay, about the Democrats making that video, because that's one of the things that they have to do to get this to be successful. Number 4, gut the civil services, okay, and that includes getting rid of nonpartisan civil servants who might resist illegal orders. Imagine if the entire military resisted illegal orders. They would have quite the problem. So that's why they're definitely ticked off about that. Talking about seditious behavior now. Okay, the person that's doing seditious behavior, engaging in it, is Trump and his whole administration. Okay, in my opinion. Install loyalists. Now, y'all remember me reporting on this? I said this is one of the first things that I was telling you all about Trump, how he was just getting rid of anybody that was put in there by Biden or Obama and just getting a bunch of MAGA people in there. Remember I told y'all he's trying to get all these little MAGA cronies in there, whether they're qualified or not. Replace qualified officials with loyalists to weaponize government agencies, weaponizing the DOJ to try to use it against Comey, Letitia James, okay, Lisa Cook, the Fed governor, and anybody else that he has a problem with. Attack the media, suing the Wall Street Journal, threatening to sue this other publication just days ago for how much? Like $1 billion. I can't remember which publication it was. It might have been the Daily Mail or somebody, but he was talking about suing them. The BBC, that's who it was, for $1 billion. Discredit independent journalism and replace it with state propaganda. Okay, scapegoat vulnerable communities, blame minorities, immigrants, and marginalized groups for national problems and demonize DEI. Well, they did that already. And also, yeah, they're blaming the crime and violence on the immigrants and also Black people without saying that they're blaming it on Black people. Okay, when they're talking about people getting hit upside the head, like Trump was talking about hitting somebody upside the head with a baseball bat and all of that. Remember when he was saying all that stuff, talking about people getting robbed and mugged? What do you think he was talking about? He was talking about Black folk. Okay, and then where's he deploying these people? Not to white neighborhoods in the suburbs. So yeah, we can already see where that's going. Okay, destroy support systems, dismantle institutions. Well, not only an institution, dismantle the entire United States. I've been telling y'all that for weeks, how Trump's job, in my opinion, is to completely dismantle the United States. That's what he has been put up to do, in my opinion, by the puppet masters, which really run everything. Okay, dismantle institutions that protect rights, legal aid, universities, advocacy groups. That's why it's always going after these colleges, like Harvard. Normalize violence. Okay, that's what he's doing when he's calling for, death punishment by death for people engaging in seditious behavior, which he's not even proven. This is just what he says. Militarize law enforcement and foment state sanctions or private violence to silence dissent. Well, that's why the troops are boots on the ground. Got that covered. And then the last but not least thing is end democracy itself. Disrupt election systems. He already tried that back in 2020 with that whole riot. Okay, when they tried to overturn the election. But there's no telling what they're going to do next. Disrupt election systems and restrict who can vote so no meaningful opposition ever wins again. And they also tried it when they were trying to get those remap those districts so they can get more seats for the Republicans. Okay, so Trump's got everything in play right here, and he didn't have to sit down and have somebody draw out a map for him. He didn't have to have anyone write out a blueprint. He didn't have to anyone come and whisper in his ear and tell him this whole nefarious plan and plot, because it's already been used. Like I told you all, it's already been used. Okay, by Mussolini and others. So that all being said, listen, I'm about to be out of here. I want to thank you all for tuning in. One more thing. That nurse, beloveds, that nurse that treated that Black woman so awful, one of the employees from the hospital came out and spoke. And she was basically saying she could be putting her job on the line by coming out and saying this stuff, but nonetheless, she came out and said something. So let's go to it. Like stuff, everyone, please like and share. Let's listen to what she has to say. Now, I may not play the whole thing because it's like 10 minutes.
And I'm a Dallas Regional Medical Center ER nurse. and I'm frequently in triage, and I want to open my heart and be vulnerable with all of you, because I, along with you, came across the viral video scrolling on TikTok on my day off, and was appalled. And usually I see these videos and I'm appalled, and it's across the country or, you know, somewhere else. But it was my ER where I work. And our hospital's tiny. We're a community hospital. We serve the underprivileged, we serve the poor, we serve people without insurance, mostly on Medicaid, Medicare. And I just want you to know that I'm sorry. I don't have answers for you. You guys are going to want so many things that I cannot give you. And by making this video, I'm going on a limb because I could lose my job, but I don't want to lose my job. But I want to share with you a few things, so please bear with me. Everything that you've heard is true. Black women, in particular, struggle in a way that no other people can in America, with systemic racism, biases, hatred, you name it. And I'm a white girl coming to you, and a lot of y'all are going to say that I'm part of the problem. And I've read that. Why is no one speaking out? Why is no one sticking up? Why is no one saying this nurse should be fired? There's a lot of things that I want to say, and I cannot. Please understand, I have a job. I am a single mom of 4 kids. I don't get help. I raise them on my own. I'm a mom that has been on SNAP most of my life. I've gotten Medicaid. I barely make enough money to pay my bills as a nurse. It's expensive out there. But you know what? None of my struggles, none of them compare to what a Black woman has to go through in our country because of the color of her skin. Racism isn't just, oh, it's the color of your skin, it's everything. It's not just, oh, look at that person, like, she should have never been rejected from the ambulance bay. We take people all the time through the ambulance bay, even though it's for ambulances, but it's an emergency room. I don't even know who was charged. The charge could at least laid eyes on the car in front of and just, I don't know. And if she had determined, maybe in the charge nurse's world, again, I don't know who it was. I didn't hardly work this week. TNCC, Trauma Nurse Core Curriculum, across the room observation. Should have been brought in. At the very least, if her training had failed and she said, oh no, she can go through the front. Hey, can we please get a wheelchair to the ambulance or the emergency room entrance? That woman's mother shouldn't have had to go searching for a freaking wheelchair. Security shouldn't have had to go out there. And as a triage nurse, I know that the second that she stepped into that ER, that noise was heard. I'm sorry, my kid just called me. I know that noise was heard. I know the laboring sounds, the screams, they were heard. And I know registration went and told triage, we've got an issue out here. There's a laboring patient. She should have been brought back. She should have been immediately brought back, hooked up to vitals. Those questions should have been answered. What's your G's and P's? How many times have you been pregnant?
Okay. So basically, you all hear what she was saying. And listen, the lady was asking those questions, but she was sitting there asking them in the ER and asking them in slow motion, just taking her own sweet time while the lady's sitting there suffering and in pain. She should have been asking all of that if she needs to ask anything while she's on the way to labor and delivery. That lady knows that. I know that. I don't even work in a hospital, okay? I don't need to know that. It's common sense. Okay, anybody that saw that video knew that lady was dead wrong. And I don't understand what in the hell they need to do such a thorough investigation for, because we've already seen the receipts. And we already know that she's done it before, and they know it too. Okay, they're racist just like she is. All right, if I was that lady, honey, I would be suing that hospital, and whoever else has been treated in such a biased, racist way, they should be suing as well. If it has not passed the statute of limitations. And also, someone said that there was another Black woman who was pregnant, went to the hospital. Let me remember exactly what they said. They said she went to the hospital and she was told to go around to another door or something like that or whatever. No. She was told to go home. That's what it was. They told her to go home. She's at the hospital. She's in active labor. They're telling her to go home. Her husband's on the way. He's on the highway headed to the hospital. They're telling her that she has to leave. Go back home. You're not going to have the baby yet. Put her in a wheelchair, rolling her outside. And guess what? That lady had the baby like 8 minutes later in the parking lot, in the car. Okay, so I'm telling you, these are the things they do to women who look like me. You have to advocate for yourself. And if you go to the hospital, it's always good, if you can, have to have someone with you, okay, as a witness, because they'll sit up there and lie, treat you dirty. Okay, you could turn up dead, honey, and they're going to lie about how it happens. They're not going to take any accountability. If they can cover it up, they will. All right? In my opinion. Okay, so with that all been said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in once again. Please like and share. Oh, hold on. Did I show you all this video about Massey? Hold on. Hold on. Let me show this video clip. I can't remember if I showed it or not. It's really quick. But it was Massey talking about MAGA Mike and why he felt like MAGA Mike, was doing all that stuff for Trump.
Number one, Trump told him to do it. And this Speaker of the House is always going to do whatever President Trump wants. Number two, they both, I think, came to the conclusion that Trump was asking my colleagues to walk a plank that was going to cost them the majority, and then that it would be no good for the president or our speaker in that instance. So I think it was a political calculation.
Did he say he thinks it was a political catfish? Once in the chat if that's what he said, because that's what it sounded like. Did he just say that it was a political catfish? I think I had already played that, by the way, now that I just saw it, but is that what he said? A political catfish? That's what I heard. I don't know what y'all heard. That's what I heard. It sounded like he said it was a political catfish. Well, I'll tell you what, MikeJohnson, aka MAGA Mike, he looks like a catfish. All right? And so does Trump. Perplexed said that's what it sounded like. Okay, yes. Not a political catfish. I am so done. And here's the thing. MAGA Mike is looking like such a fool right now, and I know he feels like an even bigger fool than he looks. And I just can't help, I can't help myself but to laugh at him. Okay, you said political calculation. Okay. Okay, I was going to say a political catfish. So I say, wait a minute. Because he did trick him. That's why I thought he said that. Because he actually did trick them. Or John Thune tricked MAGA Mike, basically. Straight played him. And Trump, too. Because I know that after John Thune had that phone call with him and told him that they're going to add those amendments, which he never had any intentions of adding, he went right back, Mike Johnson, that is, told Trump, yeah, they're going to do it. Everything's good. It's going to be great. They're going to add the amendments. We don't have to worry about a thing. And then it gets there, and the Senate unanimously agrees, and nobody amends a darn thing. I love it. Okay, I love it. So with that all being said, listen, I hope you all, yeah, he does, right? Look like Stephen Colbert. Listen, I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Enjoy your strong end, not the weekend, leaving you in a weakened state of mind. I'm not sure if I'll be back later. I just might, but if I do, it'll probably be around 7. Okay, so anyway, with that all been said, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
on your neck. Hit him with that flavor.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got